It's now Republican Congressman Mike Turner of Ohio. He serves on both the House Armed Services and Oversight Committees. Congressman, thanks so much for being with us this morning. I want to start with what's been going on for the last 24 hours or so with this memorandum of understanding. You've had the opportunity now to look through all the points as they've been made public. Some of the concerns we've heard even from many of your Republican colleagues go to the payment of $300 billion for reconstruction, the relief of sanctions, the ability for Iran now to sell oil again, but also the fact that the regime is still in power. President Trump said he wanted to get rid of the regime when he started this war. He said he's obliterated their missile capabilities, but then yesterday said, well, they've got to have some missiles because Saudi Arabia has them, and also kind of kicking down the can talks on the nuclear program. So you put all that together, what is your reaction to this agreement?
Well, first of all, thank you, William. Thank you for having me. Well, certainly no one trusts the Iranian regime. And we're certainly in a situation where as we go forward in this memorandum of understanding is a construct within which now negotiations will begin. So when you begin negotiations with the Iranian regime, everyone certainly is reluctant to trust as those negotiations begin the Iranian regime. However, this is a significant accomplishment. And then as you look at what is in the memorandum of understanding, Iran has made a statement that they said they were not going to make when this first began. And that is that they've stated that they will not pursue a nuclear weapon, which is how this military conflict began. Because you recall, the military conflict was over. The issue of Midnight Hammer began to address their quest, their nuclear enrichment, and the threat of a nuclear Iran. The naval blockade began because of the result of Iran taking actions to block and to control the Straits of Hormuz. This memorandum of understanding addresses both. There's the issue of the straits being open, the naval blockade being open, and then also the issue of Iran making the declaration they will not pursue a nuclear weapon.
So, Congressman, though, they have made that declaration in the past. Now, whether we trust them or not is a different matter, and that will need to be some sort of verification system here. But you mentioned the Strait of Hormuz, and the Strait of Hormuz, let's remember, was open before the war began. And the president has ticked off, at various moments during the conflict, some of the other war aims, destroying the ballistic missiles, degrading Iran's ability to support its proxy groups, and the like. And yet, none of those goals were accomplished. And the president himself in recent days has backed off of a number of them, even so far as saying, well, Iran can keep some missiles. So how is this considered a success for the United States?
Well, it's certainly disappointing that those aren't specifically addressed in this. And as you go forward in the negotiations, there's certainly opportunities to raise those issues. Certainly, I think when you look at the development fund and the agreement doesn't say, as others have said, that there's going to be a payment to Iran of 300. There's been discussions that this would actually be an investment fund. This is, I think, is the way the administration has been talking about it, an engagement where actually we would look to try to engage Iran more, turning them more to the West, like the rest of the Middle East has done, as we look to our allies that are there. There's opportunities to pull Iran, as the vice president has said, more toward the West, which would diminish their engagement with terrorist groups. Now, also, as we look to the manner in which the sanctions are relieved, unlike the way the Obama administration did, where they took pallets of cash that were unable to be tracked and put them on planes and shipped them to them, they're going to be engaging them into the financial institutions, the tracked system of finances. This is going to give us an ability to also control and track the manner in which they are engaged in the West, which is going to diminish their ability to support terrorist groups and organizations.
Well, we know the administration has said that the money they have to earn it, right? It's to prove that you're achieving this, but we'll see actually how that plays out. But it's also the money that could head to Tehran dwarfs what the Obama deal sent that way, and we should stipulate that. But let's also remember that this is now it's a hardline regime that is still in power. There was
no one trusts.
Yeah, no one trusts, but no real regime change was something the president had said he wanted to accomplish. And we also now see a real split, it would appear, between the United States and Israel. Where we heard J.D. Vance, the vice president yesterday, sort of warn Israel, hey, stop criticizing President Trump or you'll be left alone out there. What is that? That would seem like not only a difficult situation for Israel, but it could endanger the deal because Israel is not suggesting they're going to stop striking in Lebanon, despite Iran insisting that they do.
Well, I wouldn't characterize it as a split. No one is going to characterize this as a diminishing the support of the United States for Israel's right and ability to defend themselves. However, as we go forward in this, certainly we have to be concerned with Lebanon's sovereignty, its ability to be able to sustain its own development and its security also. Hezbollah has been significantly diminished. Israel has had great success in being able to do so. If we can diminish, and certainly that is a goal in this, Iran's support for Hezbollah, then we should also be able to diminish, Iran's support and Israel's need to continue to be aggressive into Lebanon with its bombing campaigns.
Congressman Katty Kayes in Washington has the next question.
Congressman, back in April, you said that this is all about ensuring that Iran doesn't become a nuclear state. You said that no one would be prepared to exchange lower gas prices for Iran becoming a nuclear state. And yet it seems that that's effectively what President Trump has just fairly openly said, that he has made that trade, because there is no commitment in this MOU for Iran not becoming a nuclear state in the future. If you had been involved...
Well, they actually expressly state it. I mean, I've got it right in front of me.
No more so than they did in front of the JCPOA, and there are no inspectors, right? There's no inspection mechanism.
Procure or develop nuclear weapons. I mean, it especially states it.
Which was the first sentence, the JCPOA, but that was backed up by an inspections regime. If you had been given a free hand to draft this memorandum of understanding and draft this deal, what would you have wanted to put in it that is not there now?
Well, and the paragraph 8, which says that in this memorandum, goes on to include that the International Atomic Energy Agency will be involved in the regime of ensuring compliance, but we don't know what the entire agreement will entail. And thank you for that question. I do think that the two things that we're going to be concerned about next is what will be the enrichment capabilities of Iran after this. Hopefully they'll be very, very diminished, if very, very limited, and then that the inspection regime will be very, very extreme if there is any enrichment capabilities at all. Those are very, very, very important aspects of what the next agreement will have to include.
Congressman, Sam Stein here. I'm going to read two things from my computer, so bear with me. This is the first from the JCPOA, the text, just so we're all on the same page here. This is Article 3. Quote, Iran reaffirms that under no circumstances will Iran ever seek, develop, or acquire any nuclear weapons. That's just to set the stakes that this was the exact language in the JCPOA. But the other thing I want to read is a statement you put out, dated February 18th, 2021. This occurs in the context of the Biden administration deciding to restart negotiations with Iran after the Trump administration had pulled out of the JCPOA. As you know, the Biden administration considered trying to re-enter it. You said in the statement, you said this: the JCPOA is a significant flawed agreement where major provisions are set to expire, and the Biden administration should not re-enter into negotiations with Iran without securing permanent prohibitions on Iran nuclear ambitions. To be clear, they should not re-enter into negotiations, which is what the Trump administration is doing right now, without Iran securing permanent prohibitions on nuclear ambitions. Do you consider Iran's pledge, which they made during the JCPOA, which you criticized, that they will not seek a nuclear weapon, to be a permanent prohibition on their nuclear ambitions?
No, and you just read that. You just read that. The JCPOA had a 10-year termination. I mean,
this is a 60-day MOU.
The JCPOA specifically had a termination provision. The JCPOA terminated. It had an expiration provision. And there's a significant difference between this agreement and what you're reading in the JCPOA.
Right. This is a 60-day agreement. This is a 60-day agreement.
This is an agreement to have a negotiations for another agreement. The other thing that's different is Midnight Hammer.
That was what was happening in 2021.
That agreement that you are reading allowed them to have the facilities that Trump just destroyed. Those facilities underground were going to continue to enrich, had never been fully inventoried by the International Atomic Energy Agency, and the agreement that the JCPOA had an expiration, including the provision that you just read that said they would never have a nuclear weapon, had an expiration in it. This agreement, this memorandum of understanding, is an agreement to go and have negotiations. That's the difference.
Exactly, but that was in 2021 when you criticized the Biden administration for entering negotiations.
I stand by what I said. I don't think you listened to yourself reading it.
Literally the text.
All right. With Sam, thank you for that. Congressman, we wanted to quickly turn, though, also to the situation in Ukraine, where you have been an advocate for Ukraine and at times critical of the Trump administration for not doing more there. Ukraine certainly has some momentum in the conflict, it would appear, including a massive drone strike, in Moscow just yesterday. The Trump administration, though, still has not really come to their assistance. The president, in his rhetoric, still seems to be siding with Putin over Zelensky. What more can the Congress do to push them to do more?
You know, that certainly is a criticism. I do think that it is important to note that the administration does continue to support Ukraine's operations, and the daily operations that Ukraine is undertaking are critically successful, and that is, as you have just expressed, certainly having a huge impact on both Russia, its economy. And there is strong support in Congress for that. Every vote that goes to the House floor has over 300 votes out of 435. I do think we need to put greater sanctions upon Russia and Russia's economy. I think the fact that they're able to sell their oil without sanctions is fueling their war economy, that is fueling their ability to mercilessly bomb innocent civilians in Kyiv, and they should be held accountable for that. The United States has an ability to impose those sanctions.
Republican member of the House Armed Services Committee, Congressman Mike Turner of Ohio. Congressman, thank you.